Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello Achievers, and welcome to landmark episode 50 of the Next Level Authors Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level our author business. My name is Daniel McWilcox, and here with me every week is probably someone not trying to do a really shitty Scottish accent.
Yeah, like that is the worst accent I have ever heard. And
Really? The worst you've ever heard?
well, maybe not the worst, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just one of those days. How you doing? We're on episode 50, Sacha.
I know, it's landmark episode.
Landmark
50.
episode 50.
This
We're
is a
allowed to
landmark.
celebrate it because everyone voted for you instead of me, but that's fine. I'm not bitter or salty. Continue. How's your week been?
I did win. Well, I've had better weeks. I will be honest. I got sick and I spent the whole of last Saturday in bed and the majority of Sunday on the sofa. And then I didn't work Monday and I worked Tuesday. I didn't work Wednesday. And then I worked yesterday and I'm not really working today. And I'm exhausted, and it wasn't COVID. I did phone the COVID line. It's just exhaustion and burnout. And so it's entirely my fault. And I don't really have anything else to say about that, really. And it was my birthday.
You're a year older. That was something really positive that I'm sure you're very excited by.
My cat's just pulled my hand towards her to stroke her, and it was just so cute. I just had to not listen to you for a minute there. She's still got her hand on my arm. It's so cute.
Her hand?
Yeah, paw on my hand.
Creepy, like. Nice. Well, yeah, my week's been very, very unsimilar. Like, my week's been weird. I think every week is just weird at this point, but
isn't it?
I Sunday through Wednesday, I was like smashing crap out. Like I've properly timed block and like actually stuck with it as best as I can this week. And obviously with things like time blocking, the more consistently you can do it, the easier it becomes, because it's just, you get used to the patterns of the things you're committing to. So I did loads. I did loads and loads of work on Monday, loads on Tuesday, loads on Wednesday, and then I just crashed a bit. Yeah, that's all there is to it. But I am sort of really happy with how this week has gone in terms of the amount of stuff done. But I am very, very cognizant now of pulling all that back and getting into a position. Like, I am very eager to get into a position in which I'm doing considerably less, but doing less better. And obviously we are going to have a sort of strategy day in which we're going to go through and talk through the things that we're doing and try and actually plan. I think it's long overdue. So that should be fun. Yeah, that's where my week is. It's been an interesting one. What's one thing you've enjoyed?
I have props ready and prepared. A House in the Cerulean Sea. So I have not finished this book. In fact, I am only 134 pages into the 400-page book. However, it is delightful. And I didn't know, but you informed me that Gail Carragher, funnily enough, who...
You didn't know that on the back of the book that you own. Yeah.
Yeah, that she had described it very similarly to me. So the way that I describe this book is 1984 meets Douglas Adams meets Terry Pratchett. And it is... I mean, that is all I have to say, because that is like the best description I could ever come up with for this book. It is simply exquisite. The dialogue is exceptional. The characterization,
great with dialogue.
The characterization is phenomenal, and it is just so sweet and lovely. And I have heard that the ending is full of joy. So I am.
I felt like that was a dig.
It was a dig.
Sacha accidentally read a horror book.
Right, so let's just clarify, okay? Because it was an accident. What happens is I don't really read blurbs before I read books, and so inevitably that's how I didn't know that somebody else had described this book this way, and also why when I picked up what I thought was a contemporary young adult book, set in a don't you bite me, set in. Set in a high school, but like about murder, so a bit like One of Us is Lying. What I actually read was a historical young adult horror novel set in the Scottish Highlands about monsters. So, that was a bit of a fail. But it's also, yeah. So anyway, it was a dig.
Yeah, there you go.
What have you enjoyed?
So I don't know if this is an enjoyed thing, but it's something I've definitely found interesting. Do you know sometimes something like a word pops into your canon of existence and then suddenly you start seeing it everywhere?
Yes.
So I was watching like a James Corden clip where he's talking to Reggie Watts. And for people who don't know, Reggie Watts is a very prolific, very experimental musician. He's got some incredibly funny and just strange TED Talks. But they started talking about NFTs.
Oh yeah, the non-fungal whatever it is.
Non-fungible tokens.
That's it.
Yeah, and it was one of those where they said it in passing, and I was like, this sounds kind of interesting. So I went on a bit of I wouldn't say a deep dive, but I definitely sort of done some Googling, listened to some podcasts and things to find out more about what they are. And for people that don't know what they are, the concept is that essentially non-fungible tokens are tokens that you purchase to attach to your, in this example, artwork, which then claims you as the copyright owner of that particular piece of artwork. So say Picasso did his paintings, like a digital one.
So this is a blockchain piece of tech then, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. So you attach a non-fungible token to that piece of art, and it creates like a digital signature, which is then backed up and protected by the blockchain, so that if that gets sold anywhere or if people replicate it, what the original is online. And obviously then that means that in theory, that original piece holds its value while the other things diminish. But what's really cool is if you own your piece of art and then you sell it to someone, and that non-fungible token still remains with you as the creator, not as the owner.
Micropayment perchance?
Pardon?
Is this micropayments?
I don't know.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Well, no, what I was going to say was that any time that person decides to sell that thing, you earn a commission, or you can earn
micropayments.
Yeah. So I think it's really cool because it's a way for digital artists who traditionally their work has just been stolen and shared online with no attribution or anything else, to be able to protect their work. And I've been listening to things where people say about how you can use it on video game skins, there's potential to use it when you're owning property and different things like that. And it's just one of these things that at the minute is sort of seems to be all the buzz in terms of the tech sphere. And I don't know, it's just something to be aware of. But what was interesting was I went on one of the websites where it's sort of like a gallery of different people trying to sell their art for different things. And at the minute, it's just plastered in shit. So obviously the stuff that is good, and if you've got a big audience, it sells well. But if you're just a nobody trying to make money from art, it's very, very difficult at this point.
So this is Ally has been working on blockchain for a while. And what it means for authors. So I knew about this without realizing I knew about this because I haven't really heard of NFTs, although Ally did do a news article on NFTs this week. Anyway,
there you go.
You may be interested in reading the Ally blockchain stuff because this talks all about this. And a few years ago, there was the first book published on the blockchain. The only downside of publishing on the blockchain is you can never, ever, ever get rid of it because it's built on top of each other like bricks. So if, for example, you ever wanted to then enroll in KU, you could never, ever do that because you put it on the blockchain. So there are benefits and negatives to doing that. But yeah, it's like secondhand books, you'd then get paid because somebody else has resold it on and you get a micropayment. So yeah,
it's really, really interesting. I think it's something that is anything that people need to sort of concern themselves with too much now. I think it's still very much early and trying to work out what it is and how it's going to work. But could be something that's coming up in the future.
I think it will.
Yeah, for sure. Weekly confessional. Sacha will work on side characters.
Right. So thank the fucking gods that I did this the very next day. So I wrote 10K last week, of which maybe 2K was counted in this accountability. So yeah, I mean, I did, but then I got sick and didn't do anything for a week.
Sacha got broken.
I did break myself. Yeah, so only
Done?
just, yeah, that was done.
Mine was to sort out my Q2 goals, which I have done, which I haven't got my tablet with me, but I've got a list of like my works in progress, what I'm planning to publish, what I'm planning to finish, and like sort of a couple of other things I'm doing in the background. Finished the first draft of my self-publishing book. I did, and I'm actually about 2/3 of the way through editing it, self-editing at this point, before I start looking at like where I go next. And action a VA. So I spoke to a VA yesterday, had a lovely chat, and I'm going to start to look at the things that I can actually ship them to take stuff off my plate. It should be wonderful. Feels good. I definitely feel much more conscious of the things that I should be doing by myself and the things that I can bring other people into, which might feed somewhat into the question, so I won't say too much on that. Our just a reminder for people, our anniversary celebration, episode number 52, we'll be doing a live Q&A for the patrons on Wednesday the 24th of March at 8 p.m, but that live will also be streamed into our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/nextlevelauthors. I don't know if you've got anything else to add on that, because I know that you're setting up the tech side of that. I don't know how that works.
No, just that if you're a patron, you'll be able to jump onto the live and ask us questions, and that's it.
Yeah,
everybody else can watch on Facebook.
Yeah, and speaking of patrons, we have no new patrons this week, but just a reminder for people who are currently patrons that the recording of our last live that we did, when was that? Like,
I don't know. Don't ask me complicated
at some point
questions.
in time, it's available for recording, as are all of our other Q&As. So they're there for you to watch. And our next live is on Monday, the 12th of April. So good stuff coming up. Level ups for this week. We're going to pick Charlotte Wyatt, who says that she finally put work into an author platform and is making steady traction. This is something I've been putting off for a long time, let's say. Got my head in the right space to come at it in a way that doesn't make me feel inauthentic, which was the biggest block in my mind. Now I actually enjoy it. Pretty sure we had a conversation about that kind of stuff some point last year. Again, what is time? Comments from last week, episode 49. How do you measure your progress?
So CJ Dainton said, great episode. Right now I'm editing, and ProWriting Aid sends me a summary every week to let me know what days I'm using the program most and how many changes I'm making. So long as those numbers are consistent, I'm happy. Kerry said, pretty basic. I have a to-do list in my planner and I track my hours as well, like a time card, and I use the Forest app to keep me off the phone. Juliet Fisher says, thanks for answering my question. Do you think tracking progress helps you stay motivated? Yes, it helps me, because I can see what I'm doing and how far ahead or behind I am. That's why I like the Goodreads goal for the year, because it tells you whether or not you're on track. So I mean, for me personally, it's very motivating, but that doesn't mean it's going to be motivating for everybody. But yeah, Edwin Downward says, at this point in the writing gig, tracking progress is all about words written or pages edited. While I dream of someday being able to track profits, I know that this time is still a long way off. The same goes for a number of published books. I just can't write fast enough at this time to make that a working measure.
I think that's a really important distinction, is finding the right metric for you, finding the right way to track it, because again, if you're very, very early on, it's not going to benefit you to track sales probably as much as it does production in some way.
Yeah. Luke said, I like to do yearly reviews, which are quite fun to read back to see what kinds of questions I was asking myself in previous years. I definitely should do a quarterly and monthly one though. And then Juliet said, I track words at this time. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it really.
Oh, that was slick. We've done well.
It was. Let me just apologise for not replying to comments this week. I was on my sick bed.
We covered that, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to say sorry.
It's fine. I got you. This week's question, I think you might enjoy, you might not. Who knows? We never know with these. We just like to stretch it out and make the other person anxious while they wait.
I'm all right this week. I don't have enough energy to be anxious, I'm afraid.
So my question to you this week is, what should you be saying no to?
Oh, you motherfucker. Wow. Wow. You went there. Wow. Wow. Wow.
The energy's come back.
Yeah, wow. I don't know. This is my problem. I literally don't know. I can't, you're going to have to go first because I don't know. I don't have an answer.
For mine, I don't know if it won't be very, very concise. I think over the last few weeks, well,
Are you ever concise?
so unnecessary. So the tail end of last year was manic in terms of workload and moving house and all that kind of stuff. And I burned myself very, very hard towards the end of last year. And obviously for listeners of this show, they'll know that like one of my key things for this year is balance. Very, very yeah, I'm very keen
Doing
to
well,
try.
Dan. Doing well.
It's going spectacular. No, like one of my words for this year is balance. And I'd argue that up until beginning of March, I know I achieved like the level that I want to, but it was definitely better than it was the latter half of last year. And what I'm finding now is that I have my main things that I do that I know that I want to work on. I've got client work that I know I need to work on. I've got other stuff that I'd like to work on. But what I'm finding is I keep putting myself in positions in which I keep giving myself these niggly little like extra to-dos that I need to check off that don't necessarily do anything to benefit my business. And I feel like I particularly yesterday in just like thinking, I got to a point in which I suddenly realized I'm now at the point in my career with this business where I just don't have enough time. And obviously I don't mean that, like I've always known that there's never enough time to do all the things you want to do, but I don't have, I need to start really protecting my time because it's very easy for example, and if you're listening to this, I in no way mean this as like a negative thing. I'm just saying this to the person I'm about to talk about. But I won't name them, but I got a message from an old friend I've not spoken to in about 4 years, and they messaged me as people often do when they hear that you're an author and you've been doing bits and pieces, saying like, oh, I've got this idea for a book, I've got a couple of questions, is it all right to ask you? And my mind automatically defaults to it's social media, it's quick, it's snappy, blah 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 blah, and then I get sent sort of like a full overview of this person's project, where their mind is with stuff, a couple of questions to answer, and like it's a small thing, but when you add up the reading of it, the acknowledging, giving myself time to understand and really think about what they're saying, giving a reply that is in some way useful, that adds up time. And then obviously there are questions that follow up, and that goes up. Like I've got messages that are just slipping off the radar on my social medias that I used to be quite quick with replying to people, and they're all getting sort of behind, and then I realized like 4 days later I haven't replied to like a big old paragraph that someone sent me that like didn't need to reply to, but I want to reply to because like they're friends. So I'm really now at a point in which like it's not a point that I'm happy to be at in some regard. On some it is, because it means that I know where capacity is, and it means that I've got enough stuff to keep me busy that drives my business that I can keep working on. But it's all the extra stuff. So I've got like about 3 or 4 friends, whether it's short stories or sort of like novellas and stuff, that over the past 6 months I've been like, yeah, I'll take a quick read and have a look at that. And although they understand that I'm busy, it's a constant looming shadow. It's a constant thing in the back of my mind of, oh, I should get to this at some point. And I think I need to get a lot tighter with just saying no to the stuff that isn't going to benefit me in some way. And me being the type of person I am, that feels really selfish. But in order for me to be the best I can be with what I'm trying to achieve, the more I have to protect myself at this point to ensure that I'm well, like things are balanced. Like this week, like I've time blocked things, which I think time blocking is good, but I think when you look at your calendar, it can sometimes seem overwhelming because you've got all these colored blocks everywhere. But
That's
what it has
exactly what happened to me when I started time blocking.
And it's worked in terms of me doing the things I said I was going to do on those days. And like for me, it's nice because I listed out all the things I knew that I wanted to do, that in the back of my head I'd always be like, well, where I'm going to fit this into the week. So I made it in a way that it worked for me. But then through time blocking, I've then looked at this thing and gone, I work a lot more than I thought I did. So I'm easily like, I'll be at the desk probably 6:30 in the morning, and bar like shower, breakfast, and like odd bits in between, I'll probably actually leave the desk at this point by like 5-6 o'clock. So that's easily like a 12-hour day of working. And so what I need to do, what I should be saying no to, are all these extra things that aren't benefiting the business. And what I do need to start doing is being much more thoughtful about just like quick yeses, or I'll take a quick look at that, or those kind of things. Because even, again, I'm a helpful guy. That's just part of my nature. Like, and I offer a lot to be like, oh, this will only be quick. I'll chat to you for 10 minutes, which stretches into 3 hours, or I'll chat, or I'll format that book for you because I can just quickly run it through Vellum, but obviously that's like 20-25 minutes of my time gone. And I just need to get myself into a position in which I feel somewhat ahead. And obviously we've had the pandemic, we've had conversations about playing this catch-up game, but I'm more in a position now to know where I should be and what my week should be, but that balance just isn't there. So yeah, for me, what should I be saying no to? It is stuff that isn't benefiting my business, and being a lot more critical with those quick requests for things. And if you're listening to this, and if you in any way, audience, if anyone's listening who knows me and is speaks to me fairly often or whatever, lots of this isn't necessarily directed at you. Like, it'll be clear if it's directed at you because I'll just stop talking to you. But yeah, it's more just, for me, it's that overall realization of, like, I was listening, like I said earlier, I was listening to the NFT stuff. I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk talking on someone else's podcast, and he was talking about how blocked his time is because he runs a social media conglomerate. He's in back-to-back meetings 12 hours a day. So anytime he does have that is free, he's very specific with that time. He's very deliberate about what he chooses to do. And the way that he was saying this, and the way that he was talking to the guy, it was very, like, you could worry that it comes across as like arsehole-ish, like, oh, what do you mean you don't have like 10 minutes for me? But the way that he was saying it was very like self-assured, like, this is me. This is the situation where I'm at. So I think I'm at that point. I'm at that point now where I want to work less. I'm at that point in which I recognize that doing the work that we do, particularly at the minute, I'm getting a lot of interviews for like book coaching and sort of talking about my horror stuff on different podcasts and blogs and things, which is awesome. But that is I'm aware that is going to earn more interest, more attention, which then means I have to be even harder with just protecting myself. So there we go. That was a brief overview.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely one of my issues, is that I'm very helpful. Also, I like being helpful. I like solving problems for people. Like, I like to be nice and kind and, just help people. That's one of the things I like to give back into the community, but more and more I am finding exactly the same thing. Excuse me. And this week I watched a quick cast by Becca Syme about data processing and data controlling. And it gave me a lot of realizations about how I am processing requests that come into me. And the thing that I lack, which is something I think that I want to talk to you about on Monday, I think this is going to be one of my core goals for the day, is to create a framework from which I assess everything. Because at the moment, I'm so overwhelmed that something will come in and I'll just say yes, because then I can either slip it to a different date, or, rather than actually taking the time to process and analyze and work out whether or not it is a good use of my time and stuff. And so in exactly the same way, I would say one of my number ones is that I need to say no to yes. And I need to be better at using no instead of yes. And so, yeah. And then my second one is that I feel like I need to say no to distracted working time. And I need to get a lot better at shutting down my inbox, shutting down social media, using self-control on my Mac, because I continue to leave shit open when I'm supposed to be working, and I do not work well with distraction. Like, I really don't work well with distraction. Being in the lockdowns showed me how detrimental that is to my mindset. And so I might actually make that one of my tasks for next week, is to start using self-control again when I'm like, it doesn't matter so much when I'm in the in-between times, but it's when I'm doing blocks of writing time. And I don't know why I find it so hard to just shut my fucking inbox. I don't know why I find that difficult, or, but anyway, that is what I think I need to commit to, is to having, like, saying no to distract full working time, and then saying no to yes. That makes sense. And creating that framework.
And even just, I mean, I think we're taking steps with it. Like, you've got a VA, I'm, about to start working with a VA, and that's helpful because that, for me, that's a mindset shift in moving away from the work that you don't necessarily need to do, because, the busier we get, the more our value comes from the stuff that actually uses the uniqueness of our creation. And even with I'm proud of myself for this, with the anthology that I'm putting together with Julie Heiner. We, at the minute, we're on about 160 odd submissions, and I think we're going to end up with about 200, maybe 250 submissions for that anthology. And the last one that I put together, I read most of those myself. Julie did help with a big chunk of that, as did someone else, with like a couple of stories, but for the most part, like, I probably did about 75-80% of that reading. And it took a long time to do, and it's not the best use of my time. So I've actually, on one of my horror groups, gone out and recruited, I think we've got about 8 people now to jump in and help us read. So I'm going to put together a sort of a criteria checklist in which they can rank certain elements, give the stories an overall rating if they finish them, and then that will just help us plow through that list, and that removes hours of my time, so I can actually focus on the things that I can work on. So
I'm already building a reading team.
I think, I don't know what it is, but for a while I've just always felt like
you had to do everything.
So
this is something I have gone through, because I used to feel like that as well. And part of that is, I think, I want to say inbred, but no, inbuilt. Is inbuilt when you become an indie, because you have to do everything. So, like, I'm just going to carry on here whilst you laugh at yourself silly. So it's inbuilt from becoming an indie, and because you have to do everything, you then assume you have to do everything, and then it like disseminates into every facet of your business. And I think the tipping point for me was back in, I don't know, like, was it November when I got the podcast VA? I don't know, but it was a massive shift when I realized I didn't have to do everything. And so there's a very easy swathe of work that you can get rid of straight away. And now I'm at the point where I need to let go of some more stuff, but I can't quite see the stuff that I should let go of. So I think it's like peaks and plateaus, like with the control and letting go.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention as well, I need to remember if this is directly relevant to whether it's relevant to sort of writing fiction or just saying yes or no to stuff. But on my 50th episode of Great Writers Share, Rachel Herron was kind enough to send over like a flowchart that she uses to actually help her make decisions. And I've got that document somewhere. So if I find it and if it's useful for listeners, I'll make sure that we include like a link to it in the show notes. I need to sort of revisit. I'm pretty sure it is a decision-making thing for writers. So if it's applicable, I'll share that. If it's not there, then it will just be because I've misremembered it. But that might be something useful to share as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So how are we loving our business this week?
I am going to use self-control. And I'm going to work on side characters.
Okay. I am going to finish the second edit of my blueprint and look at what I'm doing with that next, whether that's I need to look at whether I want to send it straight to my editor or put it through some people for reading. Do a strategy day, because I think that's going to be fundamental to like just realigning and helping with workload. I want to get ahead with my ghostwriting so I can take a week off at Easter. For the UK anyway, it's 2 weeks of Easter half term, and the second week I've got Bailey, so I really want to like actually prove to myself that I can take that time off to spend with him.
You can take time off, I promise you.
It shouldn't be in question. So yeah, that'd be my thing. Question for listeners: what should you be saying no to? And just a final reminder to mark your calendars for Wednesday, the 24th of March at 8 p.m. UK GMT. Or will it be? Because is it?
Acast recommends fan favorite sports podcasts.
What? Are you distracted, Sacha? Are you just proving your point?
Yeah. I want to see the document.
What? Anyway, yeah. So 8 p.m.
I can tell you. No, I can tell you. No, let me tell you. Because what I can tell you is that I know.
I think I'll go forward the weekend after.
No. So this weekend they're going forward for America. And yeah, I know. So hang on a second. What day is our thingy again? The 24th. Yeah. So for New York, on the 24th of March, which is EST time, it will be 4 p.m. for those guys and 8 p.m. for us guys. So does that mean it's wrong on our things?
No, I'm just looking at a couple of things that I've got with some Americans
oh no,
next week. But...
So it's 1 p.m. for Pacific time. So Los Angeles and
yeah, get real Pacific.
And then 1 p.m. for them, 4 p.m. for EST, and 8 p.m. for us.
There we go. Okay. The point is, don't miss it because we want to see it and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writers Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
next level
authors.
Very nearly. Tuck that. There we go. No.
What was that? An extra wrinkle?
No.
You're tucking away.
Son of a bitch. Wow.